Hey there gorgeous people, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are well and I hope you guys are staying safe. I'm absolutely ashamed of myself because it's been about 3 months since you last saw me on your screen. However, I am so sorry. I missed you guys thoroughly and I just needed to take some time off to kind of refresh and just enjoy myself a little bit, okay? But I am back now and it's going to be better. Today I've got a tutorial for you guys as well as a little bit of an extra. I've got a get ready with me video, okay? Before we get into that, if you're new here and you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on the awesome content that I have for you. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a gorgeous dress that I made myself, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm styling this dress because I'm heading out with my sister. We're going out for some drinks, so I'm going to style my dress and I'm going to just show you guys the accessories that I'm using. Are you guys ready? So let's get straight into it. Okay, so this is the dress. And by now you guys have probably seen it around. It has like a blouse version as well as a dress version. So I'm just gonna ahead and tie these parts here. So you can just tie it here. And we're gonna go ahead and accessorize together. In terms of my accessories today, I've got something absolutely special. So in February, I collaborated with a brand called Ana Luisa, and they're based out of the US, New York particularly. They sell non-tarnish, high quality jewelry, affordable too. And I encourage some of you guys to, go ahead and buy from them. Before we continue, how's my dress? Let's do a quick fit check, okay? Amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and be dressing and telling you guys about them. So yes, Ana Luisa, the brand, is based out of New York City, right? That's what they look like. And they sent me another jewelry today, or a couple of days ago. So they sent me some other things and I'm gonna be using them today. So let's go ahead and get ready. So the first thing I have is I have my shoes. Oops, chaotic. So I'm gonna be wearing these shoes here. They're just kitten heels. I never wear anything more than kitten heels these days because I'm getting elderly. So let's go ahead and wear that. Before we continue, I'm gonna go ahead and wear my jewelry. So like I said, I've got Ana Luisa over here. So they sent me these 2 items. I don't know what's in it. I've not opened it, but of course you can trust them to have impeccable packaging, guys. Like, look at that. Look at the packaging on there. As usual, very impeccable. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it. So for this one, oh my gosh, guys, can you see? It's a necklace with my initials, A. I absolutely love it. However, today I'm not wearing silver, so I'm going to put that away for a second and we're going to open the second package. Let's see what we have here. Ooh, oh my god, guys, can you see? I love the packaging of this one, by the way. Absolutely stunning. It's a really nice gold bracelet. Really love it. So let's go ahead and wear that. You guys can see how gorgeous that is. Yeah, and we clip that in place. I really love it. Absolutely stunning. Can you guys see? Fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead and wear earrings. For earrings, I'm going to opt for Ana Luisa as well. So I've got some things from them that I got in February, and I wear this thing so much. It's interesting that they haven't like faded and they haven't tarnished. Like I said, absolutely, non-tarnished. So this is called the Sloan piece. I really like it. However, I'm going to be wearing another earring from them, and this one is called the Ashley Double. It's also from Ana Luisa. It's like my preference for this dress. So I'm going to go ahead and wear that real quick. But yeah, how have you guys been? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys have been up to. If you're going to be making this dress, let me know. And of course, I'm going to leave links for these pieces that I'm wearing as well as their website. So if you're looking to get yourself some affordable but really good quality jewelry, go ahead and check them out on Instagram and on their website as well. They're based out of the US, but they do ship worldwide and they have like affordable shipping as well. And like I said, one of the reasons why I absolutely love them is because their pieces are absolutely worth it. Like, I've had these since February. I probably wear them at least 4 times a month and it hasn't tarnished. Absolutely love them. Even in the summer when I'm sweating, really, really good quality jewelry. So let's go ahead and get the necklace. It dropped, I'm just gonna pick it up, right? So this is the necklace, and it's also, again, from Ana Luisa. So let's go ahead and dress up. Thankfully, I don't have nails, so my what's it called is, you know, fantastic. I can wear my own necklace myself. And lastly, we're gonna go ahead and do some perfume. So let's go that and do that. Okay, so I'm gonna move close up for you guys to see before you see the entire outfit. So I'm gonna just do a close up here. And first of all, we have like my jewelry from Ana Luisa. Like I said, it's absolutely non-tarnish, as you can see, absolutely fantastic. And then of course I've got myself the bracelets, stunning bracelet from them. Can you guys absolutely see how it is? I love the fit of it as well, fantastic. And of course I got my earrings from them, which is the Ashley double. It's non-tarnish. I've had it since February. Absolutely worth it. And just to show you guys the whole fit with the dress and how it ties down together, this is what it is. So I'm gonna pan the camera down and you guys can slowly see what the entire outfit is like. You can tie it here how you want. If you wanted, you can make a blouse version that will stop, you know, somewhere here, or a peplum blouse. It's entirely up to you. I love the fact that it's not too tight around the waist, so it fits really nicely. I'm gonna do a 360 for you guys to see as well, and then turn back, okay? All right guys, so go ahead and watch the tutorial if you want to learn how to make this dress. If you're looking to shop some jewelry, once again, go ahead and visit their websites using the links in the description box of this video, and I will see you guys after the tutorial. Enjoy.
Here are my supplies for this video. I've got myself my tailor scissors, I've got myself my measuring tape, some markers so you guys can see clearly, my tailor's chalk. This fabric, I'll be using 2 yards. I currently have 3 yards here, but I later took out a yard, so I have 2 yards. And of course, I'll be using my Basic Bodice block and pattern paper. If you don't know how to draft a basic bodice, go ahead and look at the video I've linked in the iCards above, as well as in the description box below, and it just shows you how to draft a basic bodice. Now what I'm doing is I'm transferring my basic bodice onto my pattern paper, and again, if you don't know what this method is called, it's called the pivot transfer, and I do have a detailed tutorial showing you how to do that. So again, if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to go ahead and link it in the iCards above, as well as in the description box below. Please check it out, learn. It's a great method. It's really easy once you get a hang of it. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm moving the shoulder darts to the waist so that I have a bigger waist stud, and this way I can work around my top. So for this top, it's not going to be fitted. So if you notice, I have a much bigger dart at the bottom. But one thing I'm also going to do is I'm adding 1.5 centimeters to the side seam. Like I said, I don't want it fitted. I need it to be a bit free. So I'm adding 1.5 centimeters to the side seam for the front piece. And of course, this is just half of the body. So basically to the entire front, I'm adding 3 centimeters when you multiply this by 2. I hope this makes some sense to everybody. So after I add my 1.5 centimeters, the next thing I do is just close my dart to shape it properly. So I basically just fold it over on the paper like you would when you were sewing it. And then I take my tracing wheel and I just trace that so I know how to cut it. And the reason why I do this is so that when you're sewing, you don't have your dart just floating about. It just allows you to tuck your dart into your seams. When I'm done with this, I'm pretty much done. It's really easy. The next thing to do is to sort out the neckline. I was initially thinking of a V-neck, however, I went over to a round neck. So I went ahead to deepen the neckline that is already on the pattern by 1.5 inches, as well as the neck width by 1.5 inches, and then I drew a new curve. Once I have that, this is all done. You want to go ahead and cut it out, and I'm cutting out my new neckline that is 1.5 inch lower and 1.5 inch narrower around the shoulder width. Cut out the rest of the pattern, and that's it for the front piece. Now let's move on to the back piece. So again, I want to take my back bodice block, right? I've transferred it onto this card pattern. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the pivot method to trace it over. In similar fashion, I'm closing out the shoulder dart. And again, like I said, please go ahead and watch that video. I literally take my time to explain the pivot method in it. So please watch it. And then, of course, after doing that, I then go ahead and, redraw the new dart, which is slightly larger. Add the 1.5 centimeters to the side seam. And again, what this does is allows it to be free. So I added 1.5 to this one, 1.5 to the front. In total, that's 3 centimeters. And of course, when you multiply it by 2, it's 6 centimeters all around. Again, I reduced the neckline by 1.5 centimeters here for the neck width and as well as the neck depth. And I drew in a new neckline, which is what you're seeing here. And then, of course, after drawing in a new neckline, the last bit was to reshape my dart so that when I cut it off, it's a lot easier. So I initially forgot to reshape my dart. As you can see, I also forget things, guys. Then I went ahead to do it after I remember, just before I cut off that area. Because I would have cut it off straight. But, of course, this will allow me to cut it off in the exact way that is necessary so that it gets tucked into the seam. Once your pattern is done and you're happy with your pattern, the next thing to do is to cut out the facing. So I went ahead to place the pattern on another piece of paper. I'm holding it in place with pins so that I don't get anything different. And then I'm just cutting it a little bit. If you see, I don't cut it all through. I cut in about 3 inches at the bottom, cut out the neckline, and then cut out the shoulder length. Once I'm done with this, I take out my pins and then I just, label it center front facing. I only want my facing to be about 3 inches wide. So I go ahead and measure 3 inches from the bottom all the way to the top on the sides, right? That way it's not too wide and it's not sticking out or it's not making the dress bulky. So again, this is me cutting out the facing, and the facing width, like I said, is only about 3 inches or 2.5 inches if we're being honest. So same thing, I place my back pattern on another piece of paper, pin them in place, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out the facing as well. So for this as well, I only go about 2.5 inches to 3 inches in terms of like the center back as well as the shoulder length, but you want to make sure it matches what you have for the front facing. And then I go ahead and cut it out. So for the center back, you'll notice that it's just a neckline facing. It just sits around the neckline. However, for the center front, it goes all the way to the waist. Now that we've done that, this is the fabric, the 2 yards. I'm going to cut out what we need. I'm going to cut out about 22 inches in length, and this is going to be for the lower part of mine. So for me, this is not too short. So from the waist to the skirt length measurement or the dress length measurement, for me 22 inches is not that short. So if you want it shorter, you want to go for shorter, and if you want it longer, you want to go for longer. So I put that aside, and then it's time for us to deal and cut out the other pieces. So let's go ahead and cut out the center back first. The center back for this dress will have to be on fold. So place the center back on your fabric and pin it in place. Make sure it's on fold, and then go ahead and add in your sewing allowances. For sewing allowances, for me, I use 1/2 inch at the bottom, 1/2 inch around the armhole, 1 inch around the side seam, and 1/2 inch around the neckline. So typically, I know that the front piece is always on one unfold, and then the center back is the one that is, just cut separately. However, in this case, the front piece is not unfold, but the back piece is unfold. So go ahead and cut out your front piece by pinning it onto your fabric and marking out your allowances just like you did for the back. And then, of course, you want to go ahead and cut out your facing pieces as well. For the facing pieces, 1/2 inch all through is great. Now that we've cut all of those out, we're going to go ahead and cut out 6 strips. And these strips will be used for the tie. You want 3 on one side and 3 on the other side of the dress, okay? So I'm cutting out 3 strips, and I want the strips to be about 1.5 inch in length. So what I'm going to have to do is fold the fabric over so I could just cut out really long strips. And then after I cut out the really long strips, I went ahead to measure 20 inches, and I made each one 20 inches. Eventually, I did reduce the length because 20 inches was too long. But right now, these are what all the pieces look like. I have my center front and my center front facing, my center back and my center back facing, the part for the bottom, and as well as all my strips for the tie. Now let's get to sewing. The first thing I do is pipe my strips by folding it over just like so I get thin, consistent strips, okay? So at this point, you want to make sure you take your time, you fold it over, and of course you sew it in place. For this, I'm using my Janome HD9 Professional sewing machine, and I recently dropped a review of that sewing machine, so if you've not seen it, I'm going to put it in the description box. Go ahead and check it out. So you want to go ahead and pipe all 6 strips, and this is what it looks like after piping. Now, as you can see, I went ahead to overlock each of my pieces as well, because that makes for neater sewing. I use my Janome 2000D Air Thread machine for the overlocking, by the way. Alright guys, so let's start sewing. I'm going to start with the center back, and one thing I like to do before I start is to notch my dart point. From the exact dart point, I went in by 1 centimeter and I notched it just because I wanted this dress to be a bit free and not too fitted. But normally you will notch exactly at the dart point and sew at that point. Like I said, I wanted it to be a bit free, so I went in by 1 centimeter on each dart leg. Now, the next thing to do is to match where the dart apex is so that you know where you're sewing up onto. And of course, you want to mark on the wrong side of the fabric. And after that, you want to go ahead and sew your dart in place. After sewing your dart in place, get your back facing and then lay it on the outfit so that the right sides are facing each other. Go ahead and sew the neckline and make sure you notch and top stitch after for the best sewing results. After notching and top stitching, this is what it looks like. I folded the back piece and put it away. Now it's time for us to work on the front pieces. Again, for the dart, I went in by 1 centimeter away from the dart leg, and then I went ahead to notch my dart so that I could sew it in place. Again, you want to mark your dart apex so you know where you're sewing to, and I use a pin for that, and I just use my tailor's chalk to mark it on the other side. You want to make sure you're doing this on the wrong side of the fabric as well and not on the right side. Go ahead and sew your dart, and this is what it looks like after sewing my dart. So at this point, these are the 2 pieces that I have. The next thing you want to do is you want to mark the point where your ties will be. Remember that we have 6 ties, 3 for each side. So the first one I want to do is I want to make my tie about 1/2 inch lower than the neckline, just because I know that I'll have to sew by facing, and that will be sewn on 1/2 inch. So from your neckline, you want to go ahead and mark 1/2 inch and mark that. That will be the location of the first tie. You can pin it in place using some pins, and this is what it looks like. Now, from there up onto the end is entirely up to you, depending on what length of fabric you have left. And of course, you can use more than 6 ties if you need to. So for me, I spaced mine at 3.5 inches away from each other after the first one. So this is me just pinning the rest of them to each other. And then you want to go ahead and grab your facing and place your facing on top so that the right side of the facing is facing the right side of the fabric. After doing that, you want to sew just the neckline, right? So this is what it looks like after sewing the neckline. And then after doing that, you want to top stitch and notch and then sew it all the way down, just like I've just shown you. For emphasis sake, it's always important that you notch curves when you sew curves to get the best sewing results. So this is what it looks like after sewing the facing and also sewing the ties in place. We're going to repeat it for the second side. And again, like I said, you pin your ties onto it, you place your facing, you first sort out the neckline, which is the round part. You then go ahead and notch and top stitch that, and then you go ahead and sort out the vertical part of the facing. And after doing that, this is what both pieces look like after tying and make sure they are, in line. I think it looks really cute and it's coming together nicely. Next, we want to paste the back piece on the front piece, and then want to go ahead and sew the side seam together by 1 inch, which is the sewing allowance that we left in place. So I'm just pinning the side seams here together, and I'm going to do it on the left and right hand side. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and sew that on 1 inch. You also want to pin your shoulder together. And at this point, you want to make sure you open up your facing area so that you do it, with the best way. So basically find the facing area, open it up, match the seams together, and then pin your way from there to the left and to the right hand side. For the shoulder of facing area, we're going to sew it on 1/2 inch sewing allowance, so that's the shoulder area, which is where I'm holding now. But for the side seam is 1 inch because that's what we left. After sewing the sides and the shoulder, here's what it looks like, and at this point it's coming together nicely. One of the reasons why I like to overlock before sewing is because it gives good results. So at this point, it's now time for us to sort out the sleeves. I'm going to go ahead and measure the armhole. Now, please note, I'm not going to go into the sleeves in details just because I have two videos showing you how to cut sleeves, one for freehand and one for pattern. So if you are interested in learning in details, go ahead and watch those videos. I will link it in the description box below, so that way you can click on it and actually just watch it. I recommend the pattern one if you're a pattern drafter, as it's very detailed and it makes so much sense. But of course, if you want to do freehand sewing as well, the other one is there for you, and trust me, it's very helpful and very easy as well. So go ahead and cut out your sleeves, and after cutting out your sleeves, I'll go ahead and notch it. For this, you notice that the sleeves are straight, and that's because I don't want it fitted. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew the end by 1 inch, and also go ahead and make an elastic casing, which I apparently didn't show you guys. So after making the elastic casing, I just leave a small opening so I can pass the elastic through, which I'll close later. And then you want to go ahead and put the elastic through your elastic threader, and then just pass it into the elastic casing, making sure to hold the other end so that you don't lose the elastic in the elastic casing. Woo, that's a mouthful of elastic casings, guys. Now, after passing it through and you have it on the other end, you want to go ahead and stitch it in place. Usually when you're doing stuff like stretchy, a zigzag stitch is recommended. However, if you have a straight stitch, you can go ahead and do it. Now that the sleeves are done, this is what it looks like. The next step is to attach the sleeves to the bodice. And the neatest way to do that is to find the side seam on the bodice and the side seam on the sleeves, pin them together, right? And of course, you want to find the notch, which is your middle point of your crown of your sleeves, and also pin that to the shoulder seam on your bodice. So let's go ahead and get pinning. As you can see, you want to take your time with this, like I said, and of course you want to find whatever way is easier. So right now I'm just pinning the shoulder seam on the bodice to the notched point on the crown of the sleeve. Now after doing that, you want to then work your way all the way from the bottom, making sure to ease it in. You don't want to squeeze it. In this case, my sleeves are much bigger than the armhole, and that's because I wanted to have gathers at the top of my sleeve. So basically, I'm going to start pinning from the side seam, and I'll work my way towards the crown. Now, any excess fabric I have around the crown, I will gather it onto the bodice, just so that I have slightly puffy sleeves, not extremely puffy, but just slightly puffy. After doing that, you want to go ahead and sew it in place, and after sewing it, you want to make sure to overlock it. This is what it looks like after sewing. As you can see, there's slightly puffy around the shoulder area, but this is what it looks like so far on the dress form. My dress form is from Royal Dress Forms, and I will also tag them in the description box. If you're interested, please check them out. Now let's move on to the bottom of the dress. Remember, I started with 2 yards of fabric, so this is 2 yards of fabric in terms of the width, and of course the length is 22 inches. You want to go ahead and hem the length, hem the bottom so that you have it, and after hemming the bottom, this is what it looks like. Next, you want to find the 2 open ends, pin them together so the right sides are facing each other, and then go ahead and sew by 1/2 inch. After sewing, you can overlock it or use a French seam like I used here. Next thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and notch the middle, and then you want to go ahead and gather this. After sewing your gather stitches, this is what it looks like, and I'm just pulling the gathers. You don't need the gathers to be too full, just light gathers. And this is because, again, with the dress, it's just a very easy dress, nothing too dramatic, so you don't need it extremely full. So go ahead and pull your gathers until you're satisfied, and then once you have something similar to like your waist, you want to go ahead and attach the gathers to the bodies, and we're going to do that in a second. Once your gathers are done, the first thing you want to do is you want to grab the bodice, and then you want to go ahead and notch the middle, which is the center back, the middle of it. Now that you have done that, you want to find the notch on the center back and match it to the 2 ends that you sewed together on the bottom part or the skirt of the dress, right? So you know that 2 ends that we sewed together, you want to match it. The next thing is you also want to find the notch on the skirt, so the notch that we had on the skirt, and at that point you want to go ahead and pin the center front to it. Now, one thing is there should not be any space between the 2 center front pieces, right? So remember, the center front has an opening. You want to go ahead and pin one all around to one side and the other to the other side. Now, once you're done pinning, you want to go ahead and just spread your gathers and then sew it in place. And this is what it will look like after sewing it in place. All right, give your dress a good iron. To be honest, I've been ironing every step of the way, but at this point, you're all done.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video to the very end. I hope it was worth your while and I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give me a thumbs up. Make sure you leave your comments, suggestions and feedback in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on the awesome content that I have for you. Again, check out the link in the description box for the Ana Luisa link so that you can shop quality, amazing, durable jewelry from their website. This is the brand Ana Luisa. I will put their Instagram as well as their website in the description box, so go ahead and click on it, shop their website. You know, if you want something like the bracelet I'm wearing, all the earrings that I'm rocking, go ahead and visit their website. Till next week guys, I'll see you. Take care and stay blessed.